Should people be more afraid about losing money in the markets or more afraid about losing purchasing power of cash?
Without question, cash. Without question. Over a 30-year horizon, cash is much riskier than the stock market.
And from your perspective, if someone wants to save more money to invest, is it better for them to cut back or try to make more money?
Make more money is my opinion. People get pretty upset when I say that. Like when I make the point that I made earlier that maybe not everybody should be trying to save as much as they possibly can as early as possible. People get really upset when I say that. When I say people should maybe just earn more money, they get really upset about that too. But I think there are lots of ways people can earn more money. I don't think you guys would disagree. Like you guys are both doing stuff. You're using your time in ways that allow you to earn more money than you could at, I don't know, working at I'm not going to call anything out, but a job that makes less money. Like there are things that you can do. Not everything is in your control. And I completely acknowledge that. But there are things that people can do to improve their situation.
But that being said, it still does make sense for a lot of people to probably save more than they're spending. Because I do think that the US and probably just North America in general has a spending issue.
I agree.
And so if someone is dissatisfied with where they're at financially, for 99% of the people within that population, it's probably they're spending too much. What sort of spending strategies or expenses do you think people waste their money on, or strategies they should implement in order to improve their financial performance?
I'm not a fan of budgeting personally. Never clicked with me. But I think that what you can do is define the amount that you need to save in order to reach whatever your goal is and work backwards from there. And sometimes you might realize that the amount of saving you have to do to achieve the goal is way too aggressive. You want to retire at 35, so you have to save 60% of your income, which means you're living on whatever, $1,200 a month or something. That probably doesn't sound palatable to a lot of people, so you adjust your goals. But I much prefer, and this is what I do personally, I know how much I need to save each year. I save that. And I don't really worry too much about the rest of the spending. But I'm also, I'm not going to restaurants and just ordering water. But I think I'm naturally pretty frugal. So I think if someone has a spending problem, that probably requires deeper reflection.
I'm curious for you, Graham, because like you said, back in the day, you would do a lot of these like frugal life hacks and stuff like that. Realistically, those actual decisions did not probably amount to a very large change in your overall net worth now, if we fully remove that from the behavioral stacking that you probably did, like the habits that you formed. The habits are valuable, but the decisions themselves were probably not very productive to your current financial portfolio.
Maybe they were. And the reason I say that is because back then I was dumping everything into real estate. And I would basically be at $0 in my bank account at the end of the year because my goal was to have 100% invested. And so by December 31st, I'd be spending money on renovations. It would go to a down payment. I would be zero. And then I'd have commissions coming in like January to basically bump me back up. And so I invested everything. So I don't know. I think in the big picture, no. But if that prevented me from buying one property back in 2012, let's just say, then that would be pretty significant today.
And I think you're in a unique situation because if you weren't that guy, it would have changed your content and the appeal of your content.
But also I want to push back because I got the same experience. Like we're talking about going to a restaurant and ordering water. My experience at the restaurant was not the food that I got and ate. My experience was going to the restaurant with friends. I got the same experience as everyone else, minus a $30 entree because I ate at home. Same with going to the bar. Yeah. Like I would go to the bar with friends, would never get a drink. But we can go to a liquor store down the street and I'll buy one bottle. Yeah, one bottle, pour it in a thing like this, drink it outside of the bar, have fun, and then we walk in the bar. Now you already got your drinks, but for a fraction of the price, and then we just get waters. No one knows. You get, just a water in a glass. And you know what I used to?
Bad day to be a restaurant owner.
You know what's crazy?
Bad day.
This unlocked a memory.
To be a liquor store
this unlocked a memory, by the way. I'd ask for water with ice in it, and they say, "Oh, by the way, could I get a lime?" I throw the lime in there. No one has any idea. It's just water. I just remembered that.
I don't know how small businesses would survive if everyone did that. I am curious if you could go back and give yourself now, let's just say you gave yourself $10,000 from what you own right now. and you had to spend it and you couldn't invest it to your 18-year-old self. And so you had $10,000 to spend over the next, 10 years, an extra $1,000 a year just on dinners or whatever it is. Would you do that?
Yes.
You would do that?
Yeah.
Even though you could not invest the $10,000, you had to
spend it. $10,000 today. If I could give it to myself back then,
but it's probably not $10,000 today, though. It's $10,000 if it's
exactly. Giving it back to him back then, it would be like losing 10 grand today, but receiving 2,000 back.
Let's just say that $10,000 back then is just now through real estate and this and that worth $60,000. Would I take $60,000 today to get? Probably not. But if it's $10K, I would.
What's the number?
I mean, I have no idea. I would have no clue how to compound what went to which property and then to what index fund.
No, at what number would you do it? Not 60, but you would do it at 10.
Maybe like 30.
30 to 10?
30 to 10, yeah. For and giggles. But at the same time,
I got 3x over, it's 18 to 35, so 17 years. So 3x over 17 years. That sounds about on track with the S&P.
It's probably
enough. Close enough.
But like I said, I didn't miss out on experiences at all. I got the same experience. I just found a way to do it cheaper.
I think a lot of people could put into practice the things that you did when you were younger, for sure. Because I 100% admit, for most people, it is a spending issue.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think spending is a huge problem. A lot of people don't know what they spend. They don't realize the impulses that they have to spend, and then all of a sudden they have no money. And the problem with this whole issue is that because of compounding, 20, 30 years down the road, when you realize you had a spending problem, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. You can't undo the saving that you didn't do because you can't catch up with the compounding that you missed.
So those that do end up saving money, you argue, of course, ETFs all the way. But I am curious, within ETFs, I know that it is the objective of these ETFs to get as much money into the ETF as possible so then they can collect their expense ratio fee. It's easier to sell a product, the product being the ETF, if it's not as volatile, if it appeals to the investor's emotion, because it's easier to digest as an investor, less volatility. But because of that, do you think that they could be compromising returns over time, risk-adjusted returns, because they're trying to sell something a little bit more conservative?
I don't know about the conservative angle, but I think that this issue of ETFs being created to be marketable is a massive issue. I did a video earlier this year that I called The Rise of ETF Slop, where I basically said that we're in this age now where there are hundreds of ETFs, maybe even more now, being created every year for all kinds of wacky investment strategies that appeal to the biases that investors have. So I talk in that video, I think it was about covered call ETFs. I talked about thematic ETFs. Like you got your semiconductors, you got your whatever, AI ETFs, all that kind of stuff. There were a couple of other ones too. Single stock ETFs. You can buy a covered call leveraged single stock ETF, which is like, it's wild, but they're attracting a ton of assets. And the crazy thing about them is that they have high fees. And so an issuer can come out and create 15 new ETFs that cover individual stocks. If one of them attracts a bunch of assets because it does well over the short term, or because that stock gets a bunch of media coverage or whatever, it makes it worthwhile for them to have issued all of those ETFs. And so we're in an environment now where there are all of these financial products that are behaviorally very appealing because they pay a 10% yield, or there's a buffer ETFs. That was the other one that I had in that video. So they're capped on the upside and the downside. And again, like to your point, that's very behaviorally attractive. If you listen to the story, I don't have to lose money and I can invest in stocks. That sounds amazing. People don't realize how much upside they're giving up in the long run. And all those products tend to have higher fees. And so you get in this situation where the ETF issuers want to be profitable, as they should be. And so they create products that are appealing to people, that are very marketable, that have higher fees. And those are the ones that get advertised to investors, and people buy them.
If you have a cat, you know that keeping them healthy is a non-negotiable. And a big part of that really just comes down to diet. By choosing a quality cat food, you're buying more time with your cat and giving them a happier, healthier life.
That's exactly why we are so excited to partner with Smalls. Smalls is fresh, human-grade cat food that does so much more than just feed your cat. It helps them live a full, healthy life.
Not only is Smalls healthier for your cat, but it also noticeably improves their energy. In fact, 88% of cat parents say that after feeding Smalls, Their cat is softer and shinier and has more energy to play.
𝗪𝗠's recipes are over 80% protein, which helps your cat build the muscle they need, and they never use fillers or artificial ingredients.
Personally, I found that finding the right cat food is really difficult because in my case, I have one cat that will literally eat anything. Like, you leave any morsel of food on the table, it just will eat it. The other cat's extremely picky, but with 𝗪𝗠's, they both enjoy it. It's the perfect fix.
If you're ready to find your forever cat food, 𝗪𝗠's is perfect for you, and for a limited time, because you're a nice coffee hour listener, you get 60% off your first order plus free shipping and free treats for life when you head to 𝗪𝗠's.com/iced. That's 60% off your first order plus free shipping and free treats for life when you head to 𝗪𝗠's.com/iced.
Thank you again to 𝗪𝗠's for sponsoring this podcast.